He isn't Iron Man as much, so I liked humanizing him a lot more. He's still his cheeky self. He still does all of his normal stuff that he does throughout the film, being arrogant
True.
and the way he is. But yeah, it was great to see a different side of him. And it's directed by
Yeah.
someone else as well, Shane Black, which was good. Comedy as well. Bits of humour, and I loved the Mandarin who wipes out his whole house. You know, you mess with the Mandarin, he comes around and blows your house off. You don't waste any time. If you're going to
Yeah.
shout out a villain on live on TV and say, "This is my address," what do you want him to do?
You can come blow it up, innit?
Exactly. Bring his boys and just blow up your house straight.
Yeah.
So yeah. So for the first time, I actually felt like there was a supervillain that wasn't going to waste time and wasn't going to mess around and just thought, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't care, Tony. I'm going to blow your house up. I don't care if Pepper's inside or not. So that was good. It was a good epic action sequence as well. That was really good, well done in the film.
Yeah. Stunning.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Obviously you got Sir Ben Kingsley. Everything is Jaguar, so you know I'm more excited when he's in the film as the Mandarin. And then the twist. What did you think about the twist where we find out he's not really
yeah.
the Mandarin, but he's just a method actor from England, which he really is. So I thought it was quite funny.
Quite funny.
No,
Yeah, I liked it. It was,
Did it upset you to see the Mandarin was not the real Mandarin?
Not really. I mean, I heard later on that it upset a lot of people because it doesn't follow the original comics or something. But for me, I don't really go into the comics. I don't read a lot of the comics. So yeah, I was happy to see what they would do with the movie. It was original and it was a little bit unexpected.
And it's good that it was an Iron Man movie. Like, number 2 became more about join all the Avengers together. This one was more him by himself.
Yeah.
You know, Nick Fury and the rest of them just left him to kind of just implode by himself. And the events of New York were still kind of like there, and you could see him kind of in and out of it, which was good because you do want to see the aftermath of the big battle at the end, and what would Tony be feeling after going out space and coming back and being saved by the Hulk. All of that, it's kind of addressed in small chunks of the film, which was good. And so yeah, I think it was another strong film.
Definitely better than the second one, Iron Man 2.
Yes, definitely.
And as we're talking Phase 2, I think it was definitely Iron Man's big film. You know, so we've got this whole phase thing is that they're bringing in all these individual superheroes. They're giving them an introduction. They're giving them their own big film, and then they're sort of putting them all together in the Avengers sort of series. So this one sits better. I think it was a much better job of fitting it into this whole phase business. See where Iron Man 2 was a bit less creative with that and lost its way a bit. But you know, they got the right team together for Iron Man 3, corrected everything.
Yes.
And they're back on track. You know, Marvel are back on form.
They are. It was good.
Iron Man 3.
It was a good standalone film. Not a great standalone film, but a good one. So, you know,
Not great,
to me it's a nice strong 7 out of 10.
Get off of me!
Yeah. For me, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 because I don't really like Iron Man himself, but you know, this is Iron Man's movie, so I'm glad they did it.
Brilliant. And then the next we have in our Phase 2 was Thor, The Dark World. Now, Thor, everyone's kind of hit and miss about the Kenneth Branagh version. I enjoyed it. It was funny, and Loki was amazing. So to see another Thor movie, I was excited. But the villain, Malachi, he doesn't quite live up to Loki. And so, you know, he was a bit weak, but the film itself was good. It was still fun. It's what I'd hoped Thor would still be. You know, he flies between Asgard and our realm as well. And so it was still a good film, good, strong film.
Came back to see his girlfriend.
Yeah, of course.
Which is
of
nice.
course it does. He's got a...
No, don't take away the venom.
But he did when he was in New York, which was quite funny.
I need it. The venom is
Like,
mine.
you're here on Earth, you didn't go see her in New York in the Avengers film, but you turned up in your own film to see her. So.
Really hurt.
That's quite funny.
Yeah, he's with the boys, isn't he? He's hanging out with
is.
his mates.
Yeah.
Couldn't go see his girlfriend.
His
Oh
boys
yeah,
would laugh at him,
there's
so-
a human chick.
Fine.
And they're like,
Don't
what?
need any help.
I
seeing
I
a
really
human
liked
girl?
again Loki in this film, even though he wasn't the main villain. He was good because you see the
Oh,
different
yeah,
layers of
Loki.
Loki. You see him captured. He's in prison, and then you kind of see him like kind of implode as well because his mum passes, his stepmom passes, and you can see the love that he has for her, and
Yeah.
it kind of affects him more, it seems, than Thor. But obviously they're both affected by it equally. But it's just the
Yeah.
way they've
I mean-
shot it. It just seems like Loki was more affected by the whole thing.
Yeah, they really gave Loki some focus this time, didn't they? We gave him some more character, and I love Loki as a sort of ambiguous villain. You know, he's you can feel for him a lot, and he can even be on the side of the hero sometimes. And I really like that ambiguity of him. Definitely want to see more of Loki.
Yeah. So by the end of the film, obviously Loki's in charge of Asgard. So number 3 should be something good because now we've got all Loki, which is just what we want to see. Maybe another villain with the Loki.
So much pain.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, obviously, as I said, I don't know how the comics go.
Pain says
But
if we
I
smash
don't know,
you,
are we
we
going
can
to see,
keep your
it looks
stuff.
like we're going to see then a big Loki villain part again.
Well, he's taken over Asgard, so I'm assuming that he would do something.
Make it
This is the moment
Yeah.
he's been waiting for. You know, he was taken away from his parents, you know, his family, and he was taken to Asgard. So now he's in charge of Asgard.
Yeah.
Why not go crazy? You know, make Thor
Yeah, well-
suffer.
We could make some enemies that aren't for Asgard that could
Thor
cause a lot of
dynasty,
trouble.
yeah. Of course, yes. It's pretty much opened the door for so many different permutations, which is really good. So I'm excited for number 3. I think this was a strong film again in terms of Thor. You can't really. I don't think you can make it any better than they are. So again, it's a strong 7 for me.
I think I'm going to go for another 8. I did like the film. It's good standalone as well. It tied in a bit with the future of the Avengers and stuff. Yeah, solid 8.
Solid 8. And then we come to the last part of the part 1, which is Winter Soldier. So Cap America has now been defrosted. He's now come back to real life. They're taking him out that freezer, and they also rescued with him. What we find out is, as they were operating on him, or he was frozen and the rest of it, they have let the guys in to S.H.I.E.L.D. by accident. So Hydra had infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. the whole time, and now we get to see a film which kind of is really the middle of the whole franchise, because we've got now Captain America, and he's now taking down S.H.I.E.L.D. And also this affects the entire universe that Marvel have created, because even in number 2
Yeah.
and the TV show, everything is now changed because of the events of
Changing, yeah.
Winter Soldier. And Winter Soldier was an amazing standalone film, and maybe my favourite standalone film up to that point, definitely.
supposed to make me invincible.
And Captain America was actually fun. He was good. He was a strong standalone. He wasn't this kind of. Once you get through the origin story, and you just go, you know what, Cap, go loose, do what you do, and it turned out to be a really, really great film. You had strong characters still in there. You had bits of S.H.I.E.L.D., so you still had Nick Fury, you had Black Widow, you had Falcon, but it all just worked really, really well. Really well.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of Phase 2 and the way the phases are working, this was probably, a very important film in their sort of development of what their series is going to do. Because they've got Captain America as this is a strong film for him. So again, like Iron Man 3, Captain America's got his strong film before he gets put with the Avengers again. And also it shows that things are going to be changing, and they're sort of getting us used to this idea that this series isn't just a load of standalone films. They can be enjoyed as standalone films, but they can, things can change and big things can change. So S.H.I.E.L.D. getting overtaken by Hydra, and then becoming more powerful. And then, of course, also what's the guy with wings called? I always forget his name. Falcon, yes. So introducing him as well. He's not a part of the Avengers at that point, but he's going to be. Looks like so.
Man down.
So it's showing that the team can change as well. The Avengers team before we come up to Avengers 2, which we'll be covering in part 2.
So yeah, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked the whole Nick Fury in the SUV scene where he's being chased down by Hydra, and Winter Soldier. It was really well done, and for the first time you actually felt that someone was in real danger. One of the characters was in real danger, where Winter Soldier did not live up. He just kept going at him, and they shot out everything they could to take him down. So it was a great change of pace from what we normally see from comic book films or general films, where it's quite fluffy and nothing's going to happen to the characters and there's no real peril. It seemed like they upped the ante. The Russo brothers did amazingly well. They're directing Infinity Wars as well, so I'm really excited for this, and Civil War, which is coming out soon. So they really up the ante in this. So to me, it's a strong 9. A very strong.
A strong 9.
Strong 9, yeah.
Venom's wearing off.
For me, I still find Captain America one of my least favourite characters. So I'd go for 7. But,
Juice is loose.
although it was very strong for the phase. This phase business.
Ow, that really hurt. Venom. What gives?
Brilliant. And then that's our phase 1, part 1. Phase 2, part 1 completed.
Yes.
And yes, to listen to our phase 2, part 2, click on the next
This is probably
video.
the only time we get to talk about the phase in general. Is there anything else you want to talk about this whole phase business?
I quite like the way they do it. I think Ant-Man should have been before Avengers, Age of Ultron.
Great. Now I'll never get that Venom.
It's just, I think it still works because the end cutscene kind of explains why Ant-Man should be at the end of the phase, and that's kind of like we talk about later on in the next video anyway. So listen out for that.
We needed Falcon there.
Yes.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was kind of strange to end on Ant-Man. I mean, if you're thinking of phases, you'd think the big ending would be the Avengers film.
Like in phase 1.
That was. So
Yes.
yeah. The question I was going to ask, of course, do you think people will get lost with all? They've got 6 films in phase 1. Is that right?
Yes.
6
no,
in phase
slightly
2.
more. But yeah,
And
phase 2, 6.
And they seem to be geared to have even more in phase 3.
Yeah.
Do you think people will start to get lost with the franchise? I mean, is there too many?
I don't
too
think
many
you can.
films.
I think if you take each standalone film and you think, okay, Thor's had his own film. If you don't watch any Thor films, you can still enjoy Avengers. It's literally, there is a tiny introduction for each character, but they're left to do what they need to do. So if you only watch Avengers films on their own, you can enjoy them. If you're interested in just the one character and you just want to watch Captain America and you want to see his story, the way the origin story works, the way the sequel works, they are pretty much following each other, but events have happened around Cap, so you have to watch a bit of the Avengers film to know what's happened around him. So I think if you're picking one character, watch the character films and Avengers. If you're just interested in the team, concentrate on the Avengers films. I think you can get away with just watching that much and still understanding what's going on, because they're pretty straightforward and they're self-contained to an extent. At the same time, they open the universe each and every time. So
they seem to connect them all and yet make them self-contained, which is really quite an art. So, yeah, I'd agree with that. When I saw the Avengers, the second one, I hadn't actually seen a couple of the other phase 2s at that time.
Love this venom.
And I still got it, I knew where I
Feel
was.
so strong.
So yeah, I guess you're right.
Brilliant. So that's the end of our review for part 1 of phase 2. And then click on the next video
Part
to see
1,
our
phase
second
2.
part 1 phase
Any
2.
numbers.